How much has it been since I watched Marvel films in the big screen? It feels like almost forever, considering that the movie that I went to see today, it was supposed to come out last year, but of course, pandemic happened, and we just got almost stuck at home, and no Marvel movies was done. So basically, I'm not gonna lie that we're going to watch Black Widow. It was a little bit of something that something a little bit of an entertaining excuse to finally watch a Marvel movie after a long time, because it honestly, I really enjoy a lot of the Marvel movies because it was entertaining. I liked a lot of the characters, and I had a good time. But now that we finish off the third phase, which is which ended up with, well, the end game, which closes off the long anticipated Thanos arc. We did enter phase 4, but at this point, I think that the whole hype kind of died down, at least for me, mostly because where do we go there? Where do we go now? I mean, the biggest juice is, and the biggest arc that happened is over. The arc that we anticipated is over, and a lot of our favorite classic superheroes of the Marvel side, well, they're technically now gone. We got some of the new cast, in which pretty much are kind of like a hit or miss. Even though I do like Spider-Man, I do like Ant-Man, and I know that they've been continuing some of that on Disney Plus, with WandaVision, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and recently now people are watching Loki. But you know what? I never saw any of those three of them. I'm interested in going to watch Loki, but I've been hearing a lot of mixed results on those. People weren't exactly too keen with the storytelling style of WandaVision. I hear people kind of giving some praise, but also some criticism to how the Falcon and Winter Soldier ended, in which it basically gave up. It kind of passed the mantle of the new Captain America, which I saw pictures of it. Even I saw the picture of his comic book version. I think he kind of probably the color scheme of his suit kind of makes him look like one of those popsicles that had the white, red, and blue colors. That's just kind of for me making fun of it. But well, this is a little bit reminiscent of where I am, at least in this phase from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Until right now, we got the standalone movie that a lot of people were clamoring. I remember that ever since she appeared, people were begging for a Black Widow standalone film. Everybody was, please, she's cool, she's awesome. We want a Black Widow movie or something. We want her, something like that. But if you ask me, I think Black Widow as a character, she is overrated. She's overrated because of all the heroes of the Marvel lineup, I think she's kind of like the most boring of them all. But maybe it's me, because usually the spy genre or spies, they don't technically calls my giant attention. I mean, she is badass. Scarlett Johansson does a good job as the character. But unfortunately, I don't think that she was a character that is good enough to have her own standalone film. And I think that people, they were just technically just asking a little bit too much on that character. I never had kind of like this big gigantic faith on this character. And well, now she got her own movie just when she was killed off in Endgame. And she died in a noble way, I understand that. But man, I don't know what went into, I don't know why they decided to bring up there. I think that it kind of just, emotionally, it just feel like, it just feel like obligation. And when you watch the film, you technically know how's it gonna end up. Although most of the films are kind of like that when you're watching a superhero film. This one, well, I wasn't too 100% keen of it. I'm sorry for the cars up there because it's still a little bit in the afternoon. Well, 7 p.m. at least. But still, I just wanted to go. I was open-minded and I decided to watch the film because at first it was a long time that I seen a Marvel film, and I was actually open-minded despite that this movie is having a lot of flack both in the media, the criticisms, and a lot of the political stuff that I'm not gonna go into it because I'm not exactly that kind of person who just want to go into it. I just want to judge a movie for its merit. There are some exceptions, but still, let's say that when the media influence something is kind of like it kind of has its hit or misses. And sometimes when a movie gets nagged or pampered too much, it becomes a little bit annoying. But still, I was open-minded. I went to see the movie. And here's the thing. Unfortunately, I have to say that this movie goes on par with Iron Man 3. Which, up to this day, Iron Man 3 is my least favorite Marvel movie of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that there is. And unfortunately, Black Widow, it stands there. It is indeed one of my most disappointing films that I have seen this year. I didn't like it that much. It's not exactly as bad as Iron Man 3, but it's almost a step me really just going like, I'm not exactly sure if this movie is technically good. It didn't make me very angry for the most part. I don't scream it like kind of like an internet troll or something like that, but honestly I have to be honest. I want to give out my honest opinion saying that this movie just disappointed me. It disappointed me saying in terms that it's very similar to Iron Man 3, and this is not exactly kind of like a really big positive review that many people are just saying that, well, I enjoy it as it is, I have some problems, but I'm okay with it. I agree, but not in everything that you have to say, so I have to be 100% honest. So what do we got now in Black Widow? The movie that came out a little bit too late. The movie actually, the events of the movie takes place right after Civil War, in which kind of half the Avengers are divided. They got separated because of the Iron Man and Captain America feud, and some of them are actually on the run, including Natasha Romanoff / Black Widow. and basically, if I want to say a little bit the plot loosely, during that time, Natasha's on the run until she gets dragged into her own past when she finds out her, let's say, well, for lack of better words, her sister-like figure played by Florence Pugh, and basically she tells her that, hey, I found out how to save the other widows from that assassin's group that you were involved, that you escaped. So we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna save them, and also trying to get this guy who is responsible for this whole assassin's group or something like that. That's technically the plot that I will tell you in loose, vague descriptions, because a Marvel movie basically is just a comic book movie that in this case it's a little bit too big for a giant explanation. But yeah, that's technically the things that happen. Even we get kind of like this flashback in Ohio 1991, in which I do have some problems that I have to say, because first of all, I don't understand why young Natasha Romanoff had to have her hair dyed blue, which makes her less like Black Widow and more like young Ramona Flowers. And you can tell that the movie wanted to brag, saying this is 1991, because at the TV they were showing DuckTales, the old version, not the new version. It's kind of like Disney showing up saying that, well, we make now Marvel. Okay, Marvel, you're a Disney property, so we're gonna show DuckTales there. And I don't know. And I am pretty sure that DuckTales, it was a show at 3 p.m. or 1 p.m. I don't remember. I wasn't here in this country when it aired in the States, but I'm pretty sure Disney Afternoons was at 3 p.m. and it felt that they were airing at kind of like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. according to the sun, or the sky, how the light of the sky. It's kind of like a nitpick that it kind of bothered me a lot on this one. But of course, then we got kind of like this. We met kind of like the family. There's the action moment, and here comes one of the most bothersome things that I have with this movie. And I'm gonna sound picky, by the way. I'm gonna sound a little bit picky, but I don't know if nobody noticed, but in that scene in which the characters are being separated, the little girl who was playing young Yelena, the blonde-haired girl. She was carrying a stuffed toy that you might find familiar, I'll say. It's from a franchise. But I'm not going to go into detail because I want to give you a little bit of the surprise or something like that, but I hope you notice it, by the way. And by the way, don't tell me in the comments, by the way. But here's the thing. You know what? Tell me in the comments. I don't care. But I want you to notice that stuffed toy that she was handling. Because the stuffed toy that she had and then got separated, that stuffed toy is a 2010 generation. It's a 2010 generation toy that she was holding. When you notice the designs, the material that it was made. But it was a 2010 generation, and they wanted to showcase it, and they showcased it in a scenario that takes place in 1991. So it was baffling, and during the whole movie, that thing stuck in my head. It's as baffling as the modern Starbucks coffee in that Game of Thrones in that Game of Thrones show. I never watched Game of Thrones, but I know about that accidental coffee cup on technically on a series that it takes place on a fantastic medieval setting. But in this case, they got this modern toy in design in 1991. Man, I was like, oh my god. I know that it sounds really picky and really that I'm getting too much into details, but, and well, it doesn't technically 100% harm the movie. That's kind of like the most impactful thing that I had in my mind. That is kind of hilarious. Okay, toys for new generation in an old generation aside, I think that it's time for me to talk about a little bit about the acting, because, and some bits of the character, because truth to be told, it is kind of rare to see bad acting in a Marvel film, because honestly, most of the actors are pretty good. To Scarlett Johansson's credit, she did live out for the role of Black Widow. And possibly I will say that I don't know exactly what is Scarlett Johansson's age, but I think that she did age very well, at least for the character. Yeah, and she does it well. Still, I think that Scarlett Johansson is a little bit an overrated actress. She is a good actress, but I see her in other movies, and a lot of her movies she technically just act basically kind of like the same. The perfect example I will say of a really crappy movie that she was in, and she basically acted like Black Widow. It was none other than the live action adaptation of Ghost in the Shell. To give you a little bit, kind of like a small opinion on what do I think about the Ghost in the Shell live action movie, here goes. That movie sucked. I disliked this movie, but I didn't hold too much grudge into this movie, mostly because unlike many people, I also dislike the Ghost in the Shell animated movie. Surprise! Yeah. No, sorry guys. I did saw the animated Ghost in the Shell. I didn't like it. I thought that movie was really boring. So this is why the live action adaptation of Ghost in the Shell. I understand that it was awful, but I wasn't too harsh into it, mostly because I also didn't like the other one. But okay, back to Black Widow, I'll say, is that many people, I've seen a little bit of other reviews in order to kind of see if I am a little bit on the same level as other reviewers. Many people are saying how Florence Pugh was kind of like the best actress in the movie. I hate to say this, but I kind of disagree. She's not the worst, I'll say, but I think her acting was a little bit too wooden. And her snarky comments comes off a little bit kind of like trying a little bit too hard on being hip. Other than that, I don't blame her. I mostly blame the scripts, because technically there were some moments in which in the movie in which this character wanted to act a little bit kind of like more sarcastic, even kind of pointing out the kind of like fourth wall breaking, saying that, oh Natasha, why you make all these poses like this and something like that, and it's the movie kind of trying to act cute, but it kind of went awkward. I know that some people technically laugh, which is fine, but I kind of found it a little bit kind of like awkward, and it didn't help, and I kind of wanted to try to find out if this character was supposed to be kind of like a deadpan character, because I didn't technically notice that, and most of the actors were kind of like just dads. for Florence Pugh's credit, she was technically a character that kind of like one of the livelier characters in this movie. A character that, well, compared to kind of like the other cast, and you just kind of call out their attention. In which if you have a character that at least kind of has a little bit of sliver of interest on the personality that it was giving, that kind of overshadows Black Widow, which technically proves my point that Black Widow still was an overrated character, that she was technically a boring character. I'm sorry to say this, but even I think that Scarlet Witch, or even Captain Marvel, is more interesting than Black Widow. And Black Widow is supposed to be the character with no superpowers. And speaking of interesting characters, they also show David Harbour as the Red Guardian, who he really looked like if you kind of make a Russian bootleg of Captain America, and basically that's what he is. He's technically Russian bootleg Captain America without the shield, and he kind of brags about it, and he's technically a jackass. He's total jackass, but still his personality kind of makes this more livelier. And also there is Rachel Weisz as Melina. She's okay. Kind of having this family dynamic. We got Ray Winstone as the bad guy, and what can I say? They did add the villain of the Taskmaster, but the Taskmaster, truth to be told, is one of the aspects, or probably the biggest major aspect of the movie that I absolutely despise. I hated the Taskmaster in this movie, because this is where I come with the similarities between Iron Man 3 and this movie, Black Widow. Because one of the biggest things that I hated in Iron Man 3 is how much they changed the Mandarin. One of the biggest villains of the Iron Man lore. And the way they do it in Iron Man 3 is pathetic. That made the movie. Sorry about the cars. And this time they did almost the same with Taskmaster by making her a gender swap character, which it felt like it didn't need it to do that. I don't know why they decided to gender swap Taskmaster. And here's the thing: if you want to gender swap a character or a race swap a character or something like that, I think that at least for the fairness of at least a comic book purist, which I'm not exactly not that guy, but at least it can help, is that you need to showcase a good sometimes you have to please kind of like your the biggest audience, which is mostly comic book purists are going to be the hardcore ones, and you detract from what they were expecting. You're not gonna get them. We never had, like in this case, we never had an opportunity to see a big screen Taskmaster. So changing him kind of like that, it feels kind of forced, I'll say. It gave me kind of like almost the same thing what they did with the Mandarin although the Mandarin was kind of like a bigger blow than what they did to the Taskmaster. Additionally, what I really didn't like about the Taskmaster is that they wanted to connect this character into Natasha's character, in which basically they wanted to build up that she was technically the bad guy's daughter, that apparently Natasha technically had an assassination plot that she killed off in one of her assassination attempts by demolishing this building, and you kind of make her kind of like feeling guilty about it. And then when this time comes and everything, for almost no reason, Natasha feels kind of like guilt over this character. And the movie didn't earn that. The movie didn't earn its emotional baggage because it was technically a little bit too busy with the other baggage, which is kind of like this fake family dynamic that Natasha had with the other characters, which I'll get to that just in case. But I still want to tell you that the whole Taskmaster and Natasha thing was bullshit. I didn't like that one. It didn't resonate me in the emotional impact. It felt forced. It felt like it had no place there. It was badly written, at least. So honestly, they screw up the Taskmaster. And this is enough for me to point it out that was the weakest part of this film. Alright, what am I going to talk about? I wanted to talk to you a little bit of the dynamic of the family, in which the movie wanted to present itself that despite being kind of like despite being a fake family, they kind of care each other. But you know what? I didn't buy it. I found no resonance and no emotional care of this family. Because for the most time, I felt that the family mostly hated each other more than they had some kind of like a big connection between them. I mean, the way Red Guardian acted, he felt more like a kind of like a guy who sold off his daughters for, to turn him into soldiers and something like that, and he's kind of proud of that. He's kind of proud. And the movie wanted to find some redemption in this character, but I felt like that emotional arc very sloppy. It's almost like Endeavor from Hero Academia. Even to this day, even if they wanted to make this character find redemption, I know I'm gonna make Hero Academia fans really angry that I don't buy the redemption arc of Endeavor, because what Endeavor is doing for his redemption arc is not enough, and what he did is still unforgivable. It's unforgivable, and for an arc doing like that, he basically is not being punished. But he should be punished for what he done. People will say that, yeah, he's gonna get punished or something like that, but no. The guy needed to be punished harsher. And honestly, Endeavor is technically the biggest comparison that I have with Red Guardian. And although to be fair, Red Guardian was he didn't technically abuse his children and emotionally abuse his wife or something like that. It was mostly kind of like this super proud guy who basically was too loyal to the program or something like that. Melina, she was kind of like the closest thing. She was just there, I'll say. And although I heard many people saying that they feel like there's an emotional attachment between Natasha and Yelena. But here's the thing, I didn't feel it. Because they almost, considering that many people compare or say that Black Widow is kind of like the motherly figure of the Avengers, I didn't feel that same feeling with Yelena, because for the most time they were kind of like bickering. They were kind of like giving snarky moments, but I didn't feel like they were kind of like giving kind of like a loving smile or something like that, trying to catch up. It was just kind of like there. The relationship, it was kind of like, how can I say it? It's like someone just, it's you find it's almost like you found your long lost sister, and she was, and then she comes up like, oh, you're back. Oh, yeah, fine, I'm doing fine. Okay, you're gonna help me out? Just follow me or something like that. Not so. Yeah, I know that they wanted to make kind of like the movie, didn't want it to be over dramatic or something like that, but honestly, I didn't feel it. I feel these characters, I think kind of like the character kind of hated each other. And there's even the dinner scene that, honestly, I've seen even more. Honestly, looking at how these family kind of interacted, it's funny that I found the family from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre more family friendlier than these characters. Well, not family friendly in the case of family friendly. I mean that they have better family dynamic than these characters. That's pretty much it. Okay, I think I got enough talking too much about technically the characters. I think that, and also I still is kind of a little bit pointless to talk about the action scenes, because for a Marvel movie, at least I will say this, that if there's a little bit of my money's worth for this movie, is that the action scenes are, well, not remarkable like the other Marvel movies. They aren't entertaining enough. They are entertaining, at least if you kind of just say that, you know what, don't be too picky on the whole family dynamic or everything. Just kind of shut your brain and enjoy the movie. You enjoy the movie that what it is, which is also a good comparison that I can give with Iron Man 3, in which Iron Man 3 is still my least favorite Marvel movie, but still, I'm not gonna lie that there are some parts that I was actually entertained, because the action scene, this is what a comic book Marvel movie does. It's basically action scenes and just go with the flow with it, and that's it. Although it does, I think the movie could have helped with it. There's a little bit more well-written heart into it. I'm just saying that. Oh yeah, I also did I mention that there is a scene in which Natasha is actually watching James Bond's Moonraker. I saw that movie on January. I'm not a James Bond fan, but I can't lie that I enjoyed the moon scenes from the James Bond movie. That's all I have to say. Sorry about the ambulances. I live near a hospital. Let's leave it lie down, or probably a Disney going to arrest me for talking snap on Black Widow. Oh my god. Okay, I think this is gonna be a little bit long. Okay, what else I can talk about this movie, because I think I cover enough out of it. The least I will say also is that I am pretty sure that there is a moment almost at the end of the movie that I didn't have a problem. But I bet it's gonna trigger a little bit of those people, I'll say. I'm not gonna reveal exactly what it is, but I will only give you a little bit one clue about that moment. I'm not gonna say the word, the correct word, but I'll tell you the sense, smell. when I hear it and went to the connotation, I was like, "Whoo, boy." But honestly, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem, and I found it a little bit a bit clever. It's almost like, let's say that it's been used a lot femme fatales type of characters, both men and women, I'll say. Oh my god, now I went there. Maybe I didn't want it to go. Technically, that was unintentional of me. I didn't want it to get there, but I know that some people will go like, "Oh," but honestly, I don't care. I'm not exactly into it. So I don't want to be too harsh on the movie because I already was disappointed enough with Taskmaster and a little bit of the writing choices and some of the characters. And despite that, the movie, technically takes place after Civil War, but before the Infinity Wars. And I think that is all I had to talk about Black Widow. I think that people who are okay with going to the movie are gonna find this movie okay. They got their Black Widow movie after many years. They got it, although a little bit too late. Well, actually, very, very late. How much they actually clamoring for a character that, in my personal opinion, is overrated. And this movie kind of proves it, at least in my personal opinion, that there's not much you can, and although I won't be lying saying that she does have an interesting character, but she has an interesting background, but she doesn't have exactly an interesting personality. Although I give her credit because the way she dies in Endgame is heroic at best, and this is something that I have to respect in that sense. And I think that the movie actually could have benefit if this one had come sooner. Because honestly, I thought there was almost like no reason for this movie to come out this late. The only plug that they have with Phase 4 is technically the post-credit scene, but the post-credit scene feels like it could have been in any other movie, not in So Black Widow was mostly kind of like a obligatory plug-in, or well, not obligatory, more like a forced plug-in to call characters, because they wanted her so people wanted her so badly, and it just felt like just compliance in this case. Which is what they did is mostly different from what they did with Ant-Man and the Wasp. But at least in Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was during the events that we were just waiting. This just doesn't feel like it. So overall, I'm sorry to say this, I was disappointed. It's on par one of my worst Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Not as bad as Iron Man 3, it's just kind of a little bit there. Not angry, just disappointed. But, well, I'm glad I see it. Let's just hope that probably it's gonna take a little bit of a while for me to go back to enjoy the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it is. My only suggestion to the media is that at least take it easy. Please don't overhype this movie. Just let the audience make their own judgment and their own opinions of what they can take from this movie. And I'll end this by saying that one of the big, like the movie said, is that, well, pain makes us stronger. Yes. I mean, why do critics watch bad movies and learn something from it? Because pain makes them stronger.